Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's going to go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios and actually back in the studios today. Dustin Schutte with me as always on each Thursday. It was great to have him the last 3 days as well, but welcome aboard. Welcome back, my friend.
It's always great to be here, man, especially like I'm in my comfort zone now. Now it's a Thursday. You're back at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. You got all your what are those called? The credentials in your background. I'm in the comfort zone now, baby. After two straight days, I'm feeling it.
I'm not gonna lie. I had planned on getting up much earlier today, but I was like, it didn't happen. I was like, wow. I was tired. I can't imagine the 2 days of that. The amount of walking that I did. I wished I would have had a step counter. And even though 70% of it was on the turf down there, which is very soft, man, my right foot is killing me. I don't know, something wrong with it, but the outside of Lucas Oil, the down in the bowl outside, if you're walking around that, oh my God, you want to get some exercise.
Not to mention,
I feel like going around lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or something.
not to mention the fact that it's kind of a long walk from where you park until you get down and onto the field. Like that's not, especially in the summertime when it's hot and humid out, that's not the shortest of walks.
No, but I will say that this year got that one figured out.
Did you?
Oh yeah, baby. Got that one figured out. I'll give you the same advice that I gave to Joe, the producer. Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yes.
So parking is always, no, not always, but in a situation like that, it's always something I prefer to do.
Well, and to that, it's not like you're doing it during a Colts game or during an event. There's really nobody there, so it's not a big deal.
No.
I got in trouble one time. I thought I was going to get arrested because I was there to cover Jeff Brom's first game, Purdue-Louisville, live at Lucas Oil Stadium, and I was trying to get into the parking lot, and the police had it blocked. They would not let me in, despite me showing them my credential multiple times. And man, a motorcycle police officer from downtown Indianapolis came up behind me, and I don't think I've received an ass chewing quite like that ever.
Did you? So
I did not get to park. I had to park in a parking garage about probably not a mile, but probably 2 or 3 blocks away.
Before I forget, don't forget our great friends at the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up for the Wow Club today. Start earning Wow rewards for places like BB's Market, where you can also go to visit bbsmarket.com and order directly from them. But I've got to pull this up. Did we have a conversation about chili the other day?
We did. Yeah.
Okay. I think I've just responded it on here that I make a pretty damn good chili. And then I've got to find who it was. It's a chef from BB's that, hey, responded. So,
and he's willing to judge our cook-off.
Oh, wait a minute. Was it on here too? Maybe I was looking at it on here because I was gone and I saw it. I'll have to go back and pull it up. Which one was it? Was it John down there? I'm trying to.
I don't remember.
All right. Well, if you're listening again, just hit us up. But yeah, I'm gonna stop by. I need to go. I meant to go by there because I'm gonna go by there. I may make some chili this weekend, even though is it bad to make chili in the summer?
No.
I think I agree.
Hey, now let me just say, it's one thing if you're sitting outside in 100-degree heat eating chili, but if you're in your air-conditioned home, it's all fair game, in my opinion. We actually just made some a few weeks ago, and I live in Florida where it's always summer. So
I thought it was John. It was John. It's John. That's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. John, I meant to come by. I meant to stop by there because, all right, I'm specific. I'm serious about my chili, man, but I'm specific about it too. I think we had this conversation. I start out with ground sirloin. I've switched. Yep. I've upped my game. So I go to ground sirloin, and that's what I start with. But that's just then I start browning it with the other things that I do, and
then the one thing that nobody can get on board with is occasionally putting in mushrooms.
Oh, that's not true. I guarantee you, plenty of people would be on board with it because mushrooms are something that it's not like throwing in something that like alters the flavor. They're just a nice, if you get it, it's a nice little boost, but it's not a terrible, and that's not something that has to go in. I'm not like, that's something one day I'm like, you know what? Because I didn't used to like mushrooms. I was a kid. I grew up. I didn't eat tomatoes. I didn't eat any of that stuff. So, but yeah, no, but if I'm all right, but if I'll leave the mushrooms out. Mushrooms stay out. I'm just going straight chili, man. But yeah, but see, I also put in a shot of tequila and a beer.
Add tequila and a beer.
Yeah.
See, now I've done Guinness before. I've poured Guinness into my chili, but I've never done tequila.
But it goes in different places. The tequila goes into when I'm doing the beef, the meat, and then the beer goes into the overall chili.
And usually it might sound weird, but usually I've made a vodka marinara sauce before, and you usually can't taste the alcohol. It just adds just a little bit. You can't really taste it. So it's not probably that big of a deal when you put it in there. But one place, let me just say, to get off the topic of chili just briefly, is that there was one time I ordered a steak, and I think this was. Why we gotta get off
the topic of chili?
We can keep talking about it, but I gotta.
You have something against chili? Is chili something about chili you don't like?
I love chili. I would eat chili once a week if I could.
Kidding. Jennifer doesn't like mushrooms in her chili, of course.
See, look at this. We're getting 5 left says Portobello.
I promise you, there are plenty of people that would like it. Trust me.
The key is to not tell them.
I guarantee you, I don't do stuff that's weird. That craziness. I don't do that. That's why, didn't have to be. Yeah, that would be good too, but it's not, it's becoming an ordeal with just take them out. If I was making it for like a group or like a competition, I wouldn't put them in. I wouldn't put them in just because it's going to be too much. Like right now, people, everybody's. I'm like, screw it. So I would leave them out, and I'd still
appease the people.
Still love it. Well, you do, but I mean, it's So there's that. But I grew up. I didn't eat onions. I didn't eat tomatoes. I wouldn't eat anything that was good. I ate nothing. I would not eat a thing, man. You couldn't get me to eat a slice of tomato on something to save my life. The only reason I don't do it most of the time now is because it screws the sandwich up.
It does, yeah.
It's always screws the sandwich up. It's like, damn it. It's always sliding everywhere. I'm like, it's not worth that. So off he goes, baby.
It's amazing how your taste buds evolve, because I used to be the same way. Now I still don't eat tomato because I don't like it, but onions, peppers is a big one. Pickles. There's a lot of things that I used to never eat, and now I growing up as a kid. Okay, I actually kind of
you didn't eat pickles, man. Who doesn't eat pickles?
I eat them now. I love them.
My daughter, Kylie, strawberries. I'm like, what? Who the hell does not like strawberries?
See, growing up, I didn't like strawberries. Now I love strawberries. Eat them in my cereal.
That one's weird just because it's a fruit, but it's funny. Hey, you know what? Big Poppy going into the Hoff. He's a Hoffer, not David Hasselhofer. He's a Hall of Famer now. Here comes the Judge. David Judge leads the MLB Major League Baseball with his 37th home run. Not a big surprise there, but isn't it funny now that we're seeing numbers at 37? Remember back when they were at 47 this time of year and 50? Kind of sucks, but IU basketball makes an offer to Flory Badunga. That is huge because Flory Badunga he's gone from unranked to Rivals currently has him number 6. The originally from the Congo, the Kokomo via the Congo, but dude is he's only been playing basketball for a few years, and watch highlights on him, and I was like, oh my God. It's his ball handling, his ability to bring the ball up the floor. He doesn't have fear to bring the ball up the floor. He's going to be a beast. I mean, because he already has kind of a beast-like play that's not even being brought out yet. Is why he hasn't learned to be a beast. And he's a mini beast right now without even trying to be. When he learns how to be, I'm like, holy crap. When somebody puts some strength on him, I'm like, oh man, when that dude gets in college, this guy, he's going to go from however long he's been in the United States, unless he's coming from some situation in the Congo that I'm not aware of which I'm assuming he's not coming from great means. He's going to go from that within a few years, and he is going to be a wealthy NBA player. Mm-hmm. This dude, and he's got a ton of heart because of growing up without opportunity. I mean, wow. He never dreamed of probably playing in the NBA. I guarantee he never dreamed of playing in the NBA because he didn't even play basketball a few years ago. So there's that. And we got a lot to talk about as Indiana has 3 major visits this week. One is completed, Jamie Kaiser, and he talked to the Hoosier.com about that as soon as that visit was over yesterday. We'll talk about that. Now you've got Arrington Page in Bloomington on campus beginning yesterday, and he's here today. I think he leaves. And then the Harris Smith kid. Don Fisher wins the Chris Schenkel Award and the new George Taliaferro Award. We'll talk about that. We've got Matt Taylor on, Chris Denari as well. We got just tons and tons. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our great friends at the Wild Club and places like BB's Market, where you can go get the best steaks, the best pork chops, sausage, and where I'm going to go to get my meat to put in the chili that I'm going to kick everybody's butt with. So looking forward to that. Don't forget about our great friends at Andy Moore Honda, the #1 Honda dealer around. And we're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting
Oh, it's good to be back, but I want a different studio.
You want a different studio? I love it.
Well, I want one where I have more room behind me.
Oh,
yeah. FYI, John, Joe, when school starts this semester, Joe will not be available Monday through Thursday.
I know. I was going to talk to him. I didn't know if you had, because I was curious of his availability during the school year.
That just sucks.
Well, I mean, obviously, most people won't be taking as many vacations during the school year, during the fall and until about Christmas time. That's usually.
I'm only worried about. I'm more concerned about remotes and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant for when I'm gone.
When are you gone?
That's what I'm talking about. You doing remotes, having to do remotes to be gone or something.
Oh, you mean when I have to? I know what you're saying. Well, those are usually on Fridays. Usually, not all the time, but usually. I'm more worried about whenever I have to fill in for somebody being off for an entire week. Which, like I said, hopefully most of that is out of the way by the time by the time he's back in school. But who knows? I don't know what everybody else's vacation numbers look like right now. Yeah, that sucks. Only one day he could do this.
Oh, and I don't want to talk about this outwardly, but the text I sent to you last night. How about that?
That's awesome. Yes.
I was stoked, man. That was one of my 3 laps. I was out walking and there's so many covey hoes. You don't even know if I'm like, have I been through here yet or not? But I went by one door and I saw that door with the sentence. And I was like, beep, stopped. I'm like, oh. I went beep, 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 backwards, baby.
You're so good at that. I'm not.
Oh, that's
why I hang out with Jim at Big Ten Media Days. Meet all kinds of people.
Here we go. I'm not sure if Matt Taylor will be on time, but I'm sure he'll be here eventually. We will see.
.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Thursday. I appreciate you guys being with us as always. Jim Coyle here, Dustin Schutte as well. Brought to you by our great friends from the Courtroom Sports Grill. They're located down in Bedford. Great place to catch a game, meet some friends out. Stop by, all part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go there and sign up to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Start earning WOW rewards today. They are a exclusive sponsor of Indiana's athletics as well as Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So don't forget, support those who support you. Seriously. That's what our sponsors are, how we're able to do what we do for you guys. That's how we're able to go to the Big Ten Media Days and cover that stuff for you guys. So please go to the WOW Club and just sign up. It doesn't cost you a thing. They're not inundating you with anything. I've gotten one text so far. I'm a little disappointed. I'm like, hey man, I want more of those great. They sent me a great offer. It was like a half off thing. And I'm like, I want more of those. Because that was like 2 weeks ago. So there's that. saw Five Left said this. He likes my bunker. Oh, I don't know if he's talking about where I am.
I think
but
so.
Who was talking about tomatoes?
You were.
Oh yeah, that's right. He said, speaking of tomatoes, he remembers a bit by George Carlin where he said something wrong inside a tomato. They aren't done yet. Yeah, that's exactly how I always felt. I'm like, yeah, that was a weird outside texture, inside.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's it's not custard. So I was like, yeah, there was the truth is out. He's with us here. Robert jumps on. Hello to everybody. Appreciate everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline as well. Ross, Robert, Steve, Larry, Five Lefts, Tim, Jay, Jennifer, Tannis half 11. That's some really cool nicknames. I'd like to know the origin behind. Michael,
I know.
Let's see, John. Oh yeah, John. He's gonna now. See, he can't get in the contest because he's a chef. So John is not allowed in the contest.
So
I'll tell you what, we're going to set, and I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to set up a specific football game to do it at a tailgate, and we'll have you stop by. Maybe I know Wow Endeavor has a tailgate. Jennifer just mentioned she has a tailgate, but we'll pick one of the games and do a little chili contest, baby.
That sounds good. And I need to stop by Jennifer's tailgate and pick up one of those 3.7% alcohol by volume beers for the afternoon.
What is that? What, a 3.7? What are you talking about?
Sometimes we'll trade conversations about what we might be having on a Friday night to drink. And one of the times Jennifer had a low ABV. She was drinking a low ABV beer. So I was just giving her a hard time on that. It wasn't really 3.7. It was a normal ABV, but I just like to give her a hard time about that.
Well, she wants to be a judge in the contest, but she can't have too many of those or she won't judge it correctly. And then John says it's not fair. I guess he means that he can't be in the contest. But
see, I think
he's a chef, man. I ain't going up against the chef. He's practicing his craft every day.
I think what we should do is we should have a contest between us two, and then he should make his own batch and then blow us out of the water there at the end. But we still have a determined winner.
Well, John's never been to a tailgate. Well, we'll definitely change that. Michelle will be there tailgating for the Michigan game. Why just a Michigan game, Michelle? I'm not busting you out. I'm just curious. Is that the only game you can make it to? I was talking about, I had a conversation with, very grateful to have Scott Dolson, Indiana AD on yesterday. And that's one of the questions. Tannis half 11 says it's a character from a book series. Okay. But didn't tell us the book series. But I was well, I'm always inquisitive. I'm a reporter. I'm going to ask the next question. Scott Dolson, again, thanks to him and everybody that was on over the last couple of days. But one of the things I just don't get about Indiana fans is Indiana football used to be good. It was always competitive in the Big Ten. I'm talking about historically, all the way up through the late 60s. So basically until 1969. 1970. And I need to go back and if you want, well, I'm sure you don't, but I think that this would make a great story, not because of the outcome, but it's the truth. You want to know why Indiana football has struggled and struggled? Because they didn't used to. They were competitive inside the Big Ten, folks. George Taliaferro played here. Ted Glazewski played here in the 40s. They had that undefeated team. And, they went to the Rose Bowl in 68. And then all of a sudden it goes radio silent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was some kind of race issue that happened within football. And I think, and they were also hit with some sanctions in football in the 60s, I believe, or was it the whole school? But there was something happened racially at that time. And I am convinced that was in 1969. Here's exactly what happened, because it took 5 decades for it to be reconciled. But for nearly 5 decades, those guys, they boycotted in 1969. 10 African-American players, they left in 1969. They left the team in 1969, boycotting against unequal treatment because of their race. And to me, that is exactly where Indiana football changed, because it hurt them tremendously. It stunted their growth immediately, and it changed the course. It altered. You've got a stream that has been going in pretty much the same direction. It altered the stream of this river, basically, that had been going in this direction for all this time, but that forever altered the course of Indiana football. And go back and look. All of a sudden, bam, and it fall. But the reason they've never been able to recapture that is mind-boggling. But because to have been here, but I think it's, if you don't recapture it quickly, you let it become what it became.
Yeah.
The joke that Indiana became. And then Indiana is cared more about basketball always anyway. It was easy, because what was going on in 1971, right, is that the bad was happening to football. What was happening in basketball? Some guy named Bob Knight was just hired. Boom. What happens? Bam, 73. Man, they're already in Final Fours. Man, 70. They're already undefeated. Man, they're already winning a national championship. Oh, my God. Yeah, and then who cares about football? Football was forgotten about. So throughout the 70s now, in this 10-year period or whatever, football was forgotten about. And it really was, until it was noticed that, oh my God, this program is really, really bad.
Right.
We let it get really bad. Well, now the Big Ten was getting stronger during that period, while Indiana was going the opposite direction. So now you've got to try to it's just been something they've not been able to do. And now we're entered into a whole another world. But it shows you, I'm telling you, it was this, the difference was this much. And
Five Lefts mentions in the comments, he says that the black market store on Kirkwood got bombed. Man, I learned something today. I did not know any of that. So thank you for educating me on that, because that's an important story, I think. But
I agree.
I
think it's the truth. I honestly, that is my opinion. Now, it's easy for me I'm some white dude. I wasn't around then,
right? But
just I stand back and I look and I'm like, why? Okay, there has to be a reason, because it's not like Indiana football sucked from the onset. No,
right.
They were competing in the Big Ten, man. They were competing with Ohio State and Michigan and beating them too. Then it just stopped. When did Indiana just stop beating Michigan? When did Indiana just stop beating Ohio State? Look, I mean, those streaks, when do they stretch back to?
Yeah.
They didn't stretch back to the 60s, not to the 50s. No, to the 70s.
Right.
But
I mean, it is kind of they have recaptured it a little bit under Tom Allen. I mean, they've been more competitive under last season, obviously,
absolutely.
But then you could
last year, had they not dropped that load of they could have taken Indiana football to a level it has never been to as far as fan interaction.
I still think in the future they can. They just have to bounce back in a big way this year. I think they can. If you can become consistent and play like you did in 2019 and 2020. Now, look, I think we're probably a little bit overly optimistic if you think Indiana is going to be in the Big Ten championship game probably ever. I mean, I don't see how that's going to happen as long as they're in the Big Ten East. But
and that's another thing we're going to talk about.
If you can upset Michigan, if you can upset Ohio State or Michigan State and get to consistent bowl games and maybe rip off 8 or 9 wins in a season, hell yeah, you'll get a lot of fan support. I mean, that's win the old Oaken bucket regularly. Yeah, people start paying for that because it's a new level that Indiana's never been to.
And I'll tell you exactly how they can do that when we come back. John, don't we need to hit a break? Did I miss a break?
You can take one now. You're fine.
All right, let's take a. Well, I mean, did we?
No, you didn't miss anything.
Okay, I forget if we take breaks or not, man. No, we don't need to take one yet. We're still early. I get it. We did take one. Well, whether or not does the Big Ten go to 20 teams? That's my. I don't know. I think Notre Dame is really wanting to hold out. If they can get. Okay, after we've got the next TV rights deal that's about to happen for the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be coming out soon. I think that will also include what it becomes once UCLA and USC hit in 2024. It's expected to be $100 million now when it comes out. Then when those two join, it will be more. Let's say that's $125 million per team, per school. How, and if Notre Dame were to join, that could probably go to 150.
Yeah.
Notre Dame at best is going to get maybe 75. That's a high number. I don't see that Notre Dame football is worth that. And that's only half of their games. So I don't see how in the world it's worth that. But it's also half of what they would get in the Big Ten. Is there independence for 6 games, 6 football games is right. What we're all talking about here. Nothing else in any other sport. We're talking about 6 football games, the 6 home football games that they can control. Is it real? Because they're already obligated to the ACC for 5 games, I think.
Yeah.
So that gives them 7 to play with, but half of those teams are playing in the Big Ten, I think, already. So is it really worth? What are they holding on to? They would be giving up double the income of an additional $75 million.
And I think, when Notre Dame kind of refused to join a conference back when they were talking with the ACC and joined in all of their other leagues, I think that there probably wasn't, you're probably talking less than 10 million. And at that point, I don't know if you probably have enough donors where you're going to be able to make up that kind of difference. So maybe that was the thing, but like you said, if you join the Big Ten now, I don't know what their media rights deal is worth, but it would be exponentially higher. Think about, because if the Big Ten adds Notre Dame, they're undoubtedly going to try to get to 20. So you're probably talking about Oregon, Washington, maybe Stanford, Florida State, Miami. The Big Ten could go after pretty much anybody they want to in the ACC or the Pac-12, even the Big 12. So I think it's going to get a lot more interesting because I think there's too much money to leave on the table if you're Notre Dame. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow or even next year, but I think within the next 5 years, you're going to see the Big Ten it's going to be a 20-team league. And at that point, what's going to be really interesting is how are they going to do the football scheduling? I'd like to see
I've got it. I've got that one figured out.
You got it. Okay, let's hear it because I think I've got it figured out too.
But first of all, that was my next question, though. Does the Big Ten, do they go to 20?
Yeah, I think so.
Notre Dame would get them to 18, and I guess it would be stupid not to go to an even 20, but 18 is easy to deal with as well. But then if you were going to go to 20, then now you're going to have to add probably 2 more West Coast teams. Now, and I don't. The Pac-12 media days start today. Are they going to try to lock these members down? I don't know what they can do. We do have to take a break. There is tons to talk about. IU basketball to talk about. The visits we haven't gotten to yet. This conversation. The Mega Millions. Yeah, Who asked that question? Just saw that. Someone said, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna try to hit it up." I forgot the. Yeah, there you go, Brad. Hell yeah, $1 billion, baby. 400 million. Basically, you take which of course, I'm taking. Yeah, give me my 400 million.
Right.
Give me my 400 million. This show changes.
You don't have to be in the bunker anymore.
Well, I'm not in a bunker, but we get you headsets. That's for damn sure. We've got a lot more coming up. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our great friends from Endeavor Hospitality and School Courier. In addition to Andy Moore Honda, we're back with maybe Matt Taylor after this. Stay tuned. We'll find out.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out.
I mean, imagine $1 billion. We could all just do this for fun.
Well, it's 400 million, so they should call it what it is.
You're talking about the taxes or whatever.
That's everything. When you take it, first of all, you only get don't you get half and it automatically it's cut to half?
There's different ways to claim it.
No, I thought there was just 2, lump sum or
but one of them I thought you could opt to get it over a 30-year period. I thought that was an option.
But that's one of 2, lump sum or payments.
Okay.
If you take the lump sum, you only get a percentage of it.
Yes, there's different amounts you get depending on what you take.
No, it's one or the other. You either take the lump sum, which ends up being a half, and then you take the taxes out of that.
Right.
So I think it ends up being 400 million that you get, but I don't know if that's before or after taxes.
Either way, 400 million is enough for my lifetime.
I understand that, but
well, what I was going to say is the caveat with the 30 year that I've always been told. Now I've never done any research on it. Is that if you die, nobody else can claim it.
Yeah.
So it goes. So that's why they encourage it because you actually get more money.
It's not transferable.
It's exactly. So not your spouse.
The only benefit you get by taking the payouts is you would be considered worth $1 billion. You would be a billionaire. Yeah. You would be considered a billionaire on paper.
But there's also a lot of weird stories about people mysteriously dying after they win the lottery. So I've always steered clear of it.
That's a little freaky.
Well, maybe. Well, I promise you, if you gave me $400 million 20 years ago, I'd be dead in about a week.
Correct. Yes.
I don't know if I could have lasted a week.
The things I would do, I probably shouldn't say on the air.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't kill anybody, but I'll do things I shouldn't do.
And we're definitely going to be talking about that next.
All right.
Well, I mean, yeah.
As discreetly as possible, right? All right, here we go.
No. Through 2021, Honda certified pre-owned Accord, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte with me as well. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you being with us as always. Good friends at Feast Market Cellar, part of the WOW Club, Endeavor Hospitality, located next door to Southern Stone on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Great place to go, especially if you're looking for that special wines you can't find. They have got an extensive selection with a sommelier on staff. So not too many places have that, including a wide variety of some gourmet entrees to go with that, making Dustin salivate here with the thought of that.
If you got a sommelier on staff, I'm going to be there at some point.
See, well, you can go to, you go win the 470 million Mega Millions.
There we go.
And what in the world would 470 million? I'm like, I would buy I always said I would never buy a new car, and maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I'd buy one from Andy Moore for that. Yes. But the rest of my cars wouldn't be new. I would always buy them used. I just think it's dumb. Well, for me, I've never had a new car. I've always it's just, you just seem to get great bargains. But Andy Moore has great deals though. But Andy Moore has the great deals.
Are you really that much of a, if you won $470 million, you wouldn't splurge and buy a new car? Now look, before I say
I would at Andy Moore Honda. I would go there and buy some stuff from Andy Moore, but
I was going to
put
say
it to the garage. But but anything else that I wanted, I like finding that stuff.
I would get a new car, but it wouldn't be like one of those expensive $200,000 cars. You know what I mean? Like, I just need something to get me from point A to point B. I'm not a car guy either. 400
would not buy. I don't think 400 would buy Andy Moore Honda or Andy Moore. Not Andy Moore. He's got dealerships all over the place, baby. They've got every dealership. And the 470 is, whoops, I missed that. The 470 is after taxes. That's good because maybe we need an ISB lotto pool. We've got till what, Friday? What is today? Today's Thursday, right? So
we got till tomorrow.
Somebody wants to head that up, I'll jump in.
There we go.
Wouldn't that be something? Buddy, you want to talk about a topic that would last for a minute?
No kidding.
Every day we could do a new segment with a different listener that was a part of that from whatever location they are on their vacation, in Bora Bora or wherever they happen to be. So
what would be, so there are two things I would buy with the 400 plus million. First would be a house in the mountains. The second would be a house on the beach, and I would be set. That's all I would need.
Yeah. But that I wouldn't buy a bunch of houses. I wouldn't want a bunch. I heard, all right, for example, last year at Big Ten Media Days, was standing there talking with Jerry DiNardo and Bob Stoops, who was last year at the beginning was working for Fox.
Yep.
And they were talking, and he was talking about a brownstone he has in Chicago. He said, "Yeah, I got a place in Chicago." He's hell, I haven't seen it in 2 years. See, I wouldn't. I don't know that I'd want that.
Correct.
If I'm not going to a place like that, I'm just gonna. If I'm going there that little, I'm gonna probably just go stay in a really, really nice hotel.
Yeah.
Why? I just don't. I don't really get that, but someone asked when the drawing was. It's Friday for this one, Brad.
See, that's why I say I would do the mountains and the beach, because I will go to those places frequently. Now, what would be interesting though is like a guy like Bob Stoops, you get a place in a big city, and I don't know if it's a house or a condo or apartment or what it might be, but you can rent those things out. So if anybody, so he might make money off of it. It might be more of that type of situation than just the condo or apartment sitting empty. That would be my guess, but I don't know. Bob Stoops he's got plenty of money, so he could let a house sit vacant for 2 years if he wanted to.
Yes, he can, and does. Who knows wherever else he has places, because he started the season with Fox, ended it coaching with
True.
back with Oklahoma, which I'm like, man, guys that don't need money draw paychecks from all over the place.
I know. And he didn't, the thing about, well, now he might have done this more for publicity. He seems like a good guy. I don't know him, but he didn't want to accept the paycheck from Oklahoma for coaching that bowl game, but Oklahoma was insistent on paying him. So I don't really know how that all went down, but again, that goes back to the point. He started at Fox. He was going to make good money. He probably that was an opportunity to coach his son, I believe, too. Didn't his son play in that?
He was with Fox. He stayed with Fox for most of the year.
Right, but in that bowl game is when he coached, and I think, like I said, I think he didn't want to take the money, but Oklahoma paid him a stipend or something to coach that game. But it was an opportunity for him to get back into coaching. I think it was an opportunity to coach his son. So, I mean, like I said, when you're set like Bob Stoops is, why not? You coach a free game, heck yeah.
Steve, they do not have Boone's Farm at Feast, Market, and Cellar. I can promise you that. But that was back in the good old days. I'm going to wait till the next segment to start talking about the basketball, because there's so much about it. But something I can tell you about, Don Fisher was during the Big Ten football media days. It was announced that Don Fisher is going to be awarded the 2022 Chris Schenkel Award, and that's from the United States Football Writers Association, which I'm a member of. It's the FWAA, Football Writers Association of America, actually, which is an offshoot of the USBWA, the United States Basketball Writers Association. Those are our good friends, Rick Bozich, Hall of Famer in that. Bob Kravitz, member of that, of course. Mike DeCourcy, Hall of Famer in that. We're very fortunate. Don Fisher, Hall of Famer. We're very, very fortunate to have the guests that we're able to have, guys. Yeah. Think about that. First of all, there is no other show like this around, and damn sure not one that regularly and weekly has these Hall of Famers. And they're Hall of Famers because they're the best at their craft. Whether I'm talking about Don Fisher or Rick Bozich or Mike DeCourcy, Bob Kravitz, all those guys. It's an honor to have them on.
And I know we may not have him today because of Colts training camp, but Matt Taylor and Chris Denari, and I mean, one of the things I love about doing this show with you, Jim, is it feels like no matter when I hop on, there's a new perspective. There's something I didn't think about. I mean, these guys are so smart, so intelligent. They've got such a wide knowledge base. I mean, I think I know sports and I think I have it figured out, but I mean, it's just awesome to listen to those guys talk and speak of the devil. It looks like Matt's joining us now.
I was going to say, speak of it. I was out. Matt, how are you, brother? I'm so disappointed in myself because I think I was going to say, I think I possibly could have made it out there to camp maybe after one of the media days. But I think, what time do things wrap up?
Well, today they're practicing from noon to about 1:30. So yeah, I don't mean to pile on, but you absolutely could have made it up here. What are we doing?
well, no, I was still at Lucas Oil. wondering why. First of all, looking up there and wondering why I don't see Matt Taylor's name and up in that ring. I'm like, it's all that kept running through my mind the whole time. But no, I am gonna come up and we're gonna do a show there one day. What's the earliest they start?
Well, most practices are at noon. They kind of changed that up this year. And the reason being, obviously the franchise has gotten off to some slow starts and, gotten behind the 8 ball early on in the season. And so when that happens, everything gets looked at, everything gets examined. So in the past, they've practiced in the morning. Now to kind of tweak it and to maybe just change some things up, they're practicing more in the afternoon. Like I said, practicing noon to 1:30, kind of in an effort to get, your body used to just being at full speed, at full go around 1 o'clock when you're going to be playing these games. You look at the first part of the season, you're playing Houston, Jacksonville. These are 1 o'clock, Eastern kick times. So it's not a bad effort. It's not a bad idea. Get the body going. That way you're at full speed, with your body used to being at that high velocity, if you will, at that time of the day. So we'll see if it pays off, see if it pays dividends. But yes, most practices are at noon and they go until the early afternoon.
So what's happening from 8:30 to 9:30 to 10:30? Is there anything going on? Any warming up? Nothing probably, is there?
No, probably not that early. No. You can come up here and tape some interviews with Colts players or just, get a vibe of, what's going on at camp, maybe bank some things, if you will, in the in the media terminology. You can bank some things for the following day, potentially.
I tried to bank some with Brett Beelum yesterday, and he wasn't having any of it. So I was like, all right. I got my question in though at the big part of it. But yeah, but I want to come up and do a show from up there regardless. I've always wanted to, and we haven't been able to make that happen, but that's got to happen. And I need to do it on a Thursday. And Dustin, you need to get your ass in here so we can do it from there. That
sounds good to me. I'll go up there and I'll harass Matt all day. It don't make no difference whether it's on here or whether it's up there. Matt, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was yesterday. Matt Ryan, spoke with reporters, and I think one of the things that everybody's kind of curious about to see is the adjustment period, right? Going from spending the last 13, 14 seasons in Atlanta and now with a new team, new teammates. But I thought he answered things very well. And I think one of the things that stuck out to me was, he said basically after you go through what he's done in Atlanta, going through training camp the same way, his body kind of got on autopilot a little bit. And he thinks that this might be a nice boost for him because he's got to relearn everything. He's got to make those adjustments. And he thinks that, or he said that he thinks, going through these kind of changes really helps him, presents a sense of urgency. To me, if I'm a Colts fan, I'm really optimistic looking at it because it wasn't viewed in a negative light. It wasn't, these are all changes. Matt Ryan views it as a chance to get better.
No, without question. And I think you nailed it. I mean, he spent 14 years in Atlanta, and he said in Atlanta, they always had training camp at the team facility. They never went away to like a local college or, something like Grand Park, like the Colts are doing. And so this is all new to him in terms of being away and just exclusively, focusing on football away from a team facility in front of fans. And, it's like, it's a different vibe. It's a different atmosphere for him where he's got to learn, where are the meeting rooms? Where's the cafeteria? Where do I go? So it's uncomfortable for him, but in a good way. And he said, anytime, something, great happens, feeling uncomfortable or being pushed in a new situation, kind of precedes that. And so I think that's what he's going through right now. And hopefully that happens with this Colts team here in 2022. And, he's had to balance being the guy that's played 14 years in the NFL and has played in 2 NFC championship games and made it to a Super Bowl, has won an MVP, led the league in passing multiple years and all of that stuff while also being, the new guy. Yeah. And so I think he's balanced both of those things really well and organically. And you can just see, I mean, some guys just have this gravitational pull about them where guys just flock to him. And so he's leading by example, but he's not being, an overbearing type A guy where it's, we got to do it my way. And this is what we did in Atlanta. And this is what's worked for me. Now he's come in here and he's had an open mind. And I think Frank Reich has appreciated that. I think the players have appreciated that. And it's going to be really fun to see how that continues to manifest itself and continue to evolve. And I think it's just so far what we've seen in the limited time that we've seen Matt Ryan and the offseason workout program and then through one practice yesterday. I mean, it's just you can see it. The guy has timing. He's got rhythm, ball placement. He's decisive. He knows where to go with the football seemingly at all times. And it's just fun to see what this offense can be with a lot of people getting involved with the intelligence that Matt Ryan has had over the course of time, while also kind of tweaking what he's been successful at and marrying that with Frank Reich's offense.
And you talk about his his type of leadership. I mean, to be a successful leader, quarterback, there's always times where you probably have to be maybe vocal in a different way. But these are men and they're professionals. They're all professional men. You're not going to be yelling at somebody in a huddle. You're not going to get anywhere with that. So those guys have to work together and learn how to lead those type of men. And do it successfully. And obviously the quarterbacks that have that kind of relationship, you can see that success on the field. And when you're with a new team, man, you've got to integrate. And that's probably the hardest thing, is to know you're the leader when you come someplace, but have to fit into the 60 guys. Like, okay, well, I've got to seamlessly fit in with these 60 guys and be the leader. That's a tough deal.
When you play the quarterback position at any level, high school, college, the NFL, you are, by default, one of the biggest leaders on the team just because of the position that you play. But like I said, he's come in here and he's the new guy, but he's also candid in saying, I've never tried to be anything other than just myself. I'm not going to, try to, lead in a way that is fake or what I think the team needs. No, I'm just going to be myself. And like I've said, he's one of those guys that he just gets it. He knows that, the personality bonds that you form, on the field and then primarily off the field, that's huge. And he's the type of guy that he can go up to anybody in the locker room and strike up a 5-minute conversation. And it might be a case where Matt Ryan and, player A, B, or C, they come from completely different backgrounds. They grew up different. They grew up in different parts of the country, different socioeconomic experiences, things like that. But Matt Ryan is so good. He can find 2 or 3 things and strike a chord with anybody. And then that's the relationship. That's the bond. That's the trust factor that you have inside the locker room that hopefully translates to the field. And so he's just trying to be himself. But at the same time, he's a guy that he's not afraid to. I mean, he's gotten the best out of Julio Jones and, players over the course of time. And he knows he's a really smart guy. So he knows what the offense is supposed to look like. And he's not afraid. And he said it yesterday. I'm not afraid to stick my foot in somebody's ass when they need it, when it's warranted. And you want to do it in a positive way, in a constructive way, where it doesn't put someone down and it doesn't create, friction or a problem on the team. You do it in a way where you just stress, I think we can get more out of you. I think you're capable of more. We need more. So follow, lead by example. But then also at the same time, you have to just back that up with great play on the field. And I think Matt Ryan has just checked every box since he's been acquired in a trade back in March.
Matt, one of the things we talked yesterday about with Bob Kravitz was, he had some concerns about the pass catchers, who's going to step up at the wide receiver position for the Colts and really help out Matt Ryan. And we talked about last week, obviously Jonathan Taylor piling up 1,800 yards is good statistically, but you think that the closer he is to maybe that 1,000-yard range, probably the better off the Colts are in the long run. And so I'm just curious, who are you expecting or who do you think has the potential to kind of break out at that wide receiver position and can maybe have a big year in 2022?
Yeah, I think, obviously that's one of the biggest storylines of camp. And, we've only had one practice so far. It wasn't in pad. So I think it's a little bit too early to say, there's 1 or 2 guys that's the leader in the clubhouse in terms of, taking over one of those back end roster positions at wide receiver. I will say, it is somewhat concerning for his own sake. Personally, Mike Strawn is starting the year on PUP. He's dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. And according to Chris Ballard the other day, he might be out, a few weeks. Might get him back towards the end of training camp. We might see him here towards the end of Grant Park. And that's obviously concerning for him because he missed all of the offseason workout program last year. He had a great camp, but then was sort of given that, NFL version of a redshirt year where really didn't see him a lot on the field after week 2 and kind of reverted to the practice squad. And so it was a big jump for him because he was coming from a Division II school that was obviously affected by the pandemic. So he didn't play a whole lot of organized football from 2019 to 2021. And then you make that gigantic jump and just in terms of competition from D2 college football to the NFL. So he admittedly had a lot to learn. The learning curve was pretty steep for him. I think he's got that under control, but if you're not on the field, obviously that doesn't help you. And then, he's competing with other guys like Desmond Patman and Kiki QT and DeMichael Harris, Ashton Doolin, just to name a few. So, there's 1 or 2 wide receiver jobs open on this team, but there's about 8 or 9 guys competing for them. And so obviously it's a crowded room, and every rep, every practice, those joint practices with the Lions coming up in a few weeks, the preseason games, it's all one big puzzle. It's all one big equation, and everything kind of matters and adds up to the final, your final grade, if you will, on the test to see if you can make this team. So it's still kind of early yet. We'll see what, how it kind of evolves once we put on the pads, and hopefully we get a better gauge of who's standing out, this time next week, if you will.
I'm going to put myself on the pup list, Matt.
You got too many pups, you got too many. You're physically unable to perform, which is what it stands for. But then you're walking the pups and you're putting the puppies down and you're eating the cups.
I am the pup walker. That would be a good job for me. I could be the pup walker each day.
Right, baby.
Hey,
right.
Matt, Jim injured himself just walking around Lucas Oil Stadium the past 2 days. So I mean, it is warranted.
You're rolling. I did not. You're rolling ankle. What are we doing?
I didn't injure myself. My foot just started hurting. I was like, how is it? What? I was like, what in the world? Because I'm walking on a turf for probably 70% of the time, other than those 3 trips around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is the outer, ring around Lucas Oil there on the basement there, around the field. That thing, good God, that may be the longest walk around I've ever done. And I've been in a few stadiums. I'm like, holy crap. It's a long way, and then you don't know when you're there, and there's so many cubby hoes, and
yeah, man,
you got a lot of room in there, man. You could live on one end of that and somebody else on the other end and not see him for 2-3 years probably.
Yeah, and just imagine what it looks like, during the combine. It's connected to the Indiana Convention Center, so you got the tunnel and the connector that goes under the street there at South Street, and then leads back up to the convention center across the street. It's a well-oiled machine. It's designed, I think flawlessly. I think, there's a lot of things that are great about Indianapolis, but Lucas Oil Stadium is top of the list because it's still state of the art. It's still beautiful. It's in great shape, and heck, we're going on 14 years of that thing, being the home.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Because I think back to like the Georgia Dome. That thing how long did that sucker last? It didn't last long at all. The Hoosier Dome lasted a good while before it finally saw its demise. But this thing is like you just said. That's why there's a reason why the Big Ten football media days have been held there the last 2 years. And not only that every single person to a man, I've never heard a single person say that they didn't love it being held there, not just for Lucas Oil, but all that Indianapolis brings. I cannot see the Big Ten changing that. It would be just idiotic, just like moving the basketball tournament to Minneapolis is idiotic. There's no chance of snow in March in Minneapolis. No, not at all. It won't be cold in Minneapolis in April or March, not at all. But anyway, I don't expect that to leave. It's awesome. And it's the great environment. Plus, you start and finish in the same place. No other league can say that. No one says that. I mean, the NFL can't say that. The Big Ten starts and finishes their season at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, incredibly cool. So you're exactly right. That's why the NFL, was smart to not overthink the combine. They were flirting with, Dallas or Los Angeles, and I mean every football operations person that you talk to, why would you move this? This is not broke at all. This is absolutely, run to a T. So they got it figured out, and then they just continue to make Lucas Oil Stadium better and better. They're adding, more clear, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but upgraded jumbotrons, clear picture jumbotrons at the screen there at Lucas Oil Stadium. So everything downtown's compact. It's right there. It's all within a 5 or 6 block radius. You don't even need to rent a car. You don't even need to get an Uber because you can just walk everywhere. Everything you need is right there. And that's why Indianapolis is the greatest sports town in the country, in my opinion.
Hell yes, baby. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, one of the great events that happens in Indianapolis. So a big part of that. Cannot thank you enough, brother.
You got it, guys. Talk to you next week.
You bet. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts. Training camp has gotten underway. We always enjoy our time with Matt and look forward to doing that again. We've got lots more coming up. Chris Denari yet to come on, but we've got the visits to Indiana to talk about. And Jamie Kaiser seemed to have had, and his father, a very, very, very good visit with Indiana. We'll talk about that when we come back. The Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from the Wild Club and Metalworks Brewing Company, located just off of the square in Bloomington, right off of 6th Street. That would be the northeast corner, kind of catty corner to Cabello, which is on the northern side of the square there. But Metalworks Brewery, stop by there. It's going to be a great place to catch a game as well this year. So we got all kinds of stuff going on, man. We're back with more Dustin, Schutte, and Jim Coyle right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore. Yeah, that would be rough, man. Marching on the Indy 500 track in those damn marching band uniforms, those damn hats, with those stovepipe hats. Abraham Lincoln, you got it like it.
Yeah, that would be rough.
This will be a quick segment, by the way.
So you say.
I do say.
We got Chris at 9:50, right?
Yes, sir.
And he's doing the race this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Before we forget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why you're the man.
You're welcome.
And that's another that's another thing. We would be doing
Chris
the show
like this now. He might not agree, but I
guarantee you are. See, that's another thing. I've got to get you up here. We would be doing the show from up there on Friday.
That would be cool.
Which I should be. Yeah.
Well, they've got how many events are this weekend? Because they have the truck series on Friday, and then
they've got an IndyCar race on Saturday.
IndyCar, and then is it a road course they do on Sunday, or is it the Brickyard?
No, well, the Brickyard is a road course race.
What?
Now,
wow, I did not know that.
It last year, I believe, was the first year, and Chase Briscoe, who was from 20 minutes south of where I am right now in Mitchell, Indiana, damn near won that race, and it was his first, his rookie year.
Better or worse?
It's better. The Indy track is not made for NASCAR racing. It's the high speeds with low banking in the corners. You got 9 degrees of banking, so they don't have the speed of an Indy car. So it's not, or rather not the speed. They don't, because they're bigger and heavier. They don't have the handling of an Indy car. So that 9 degree of banking with 200 and plus mile an hour speeds coming down through there, didn't work for NASCARs. It was tearing the tires up, and but the road course races, I think it's fun. I mean, it's because they still use the track. So yeah, I think it's a good deal. But I always say that Lawrence County, just south of me, is the fastest county in the country.
Oh, really?
Well, Chase Briscoe, who drives the NASCAR, is from there, and there's 3 astronauts.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm talking about Apollo astronauts.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Gus Grissom.
Here we go, boys.
Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It is Thursday. Man, I'm a poet and don't know it. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte along as well here on this Thursday from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you're having a great week, as we spent most of our time up in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium for the 2022 Big Ten Football Media Days. Always fun seeing different people out there. They have Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh on different days.
Very smart.
They were both the last to speak on their day.
Mm-hmm.
And usually one of the things I'm looking forward to is when Jim Harbaugh goes to the breakout sessions. You know, they speak to the main audience and they do what we call breakouts. The favorite thing for me is waiting for the Ohio State reporters to ask the Harbaugh questions.
Right.
I wouldn't know this year. I didn't bother with going over there, but I imagine probably wasn't a whole lot of that as much.
I was just going to say,
sure there was some.
It's not as entertaining now because he's done it. He beat Ohio State. I mean, I know his record still isn't great, but he beat Ohio State.
He's the reigning Big Ten champion, baby.
That's right. He's got momentum on that sucker, and I think Michigan is still going to be pretty good. I don't think their defense is going to be as good as it was last year. I don't know how it can, losing Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo and Josh Ross and some of those other guys, but I still think they're going to be really good. I think Ohio State will probably win the division, but I don't think that it's a cakewalk through Michigan. And thanks, Pete. I very rarely get that kind of compliment.
I'm telling you. I mean,
I didn't even shave.
No makeup.
No touch up. Nothing.
No 4D because my camera's in 4D. So, good Lord, when I was in TV, that would have been scary. I remember when I cut. I was at WLKY, the CBS station in Louisville, and as an intern, and a job came open to anchor overnight news for them. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna make a demo tape, man. So I made the demo tape, and I remember being in there with the news director and him looking at it, and he's all gruff. And, all right, you're gonna need to wear some makeup. Well, because I had no makeup on, and let me tell you, if you had not been under the TV lights, whatever, it just washes the color out of your face, and blotch or the little red things that you don't know that are there are there all of a sudden. You're like, whoa! So that's the thing. So yeah, that was that.
We hope you feel better soon, Pete. But thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, Pete, and actually we've got Chris Denari coming up next. Pete was an intern for the Pacers back in the day.
Nice.
He's got a story where I think in his old hoopty, I think he picked up Reggie Miller. I think that's what it was. So we'll talk about that. We'll go Chris Denari on next, man. Let's take a quick break and get him in here. And then after that, we've got IU basketball to talk about. Stay tuned. We'll have much more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends down in Sellersburg, Dr. J, Reynolds Family Dentistry. You need that championship smile, go see Dr. J. That's what I'm getting ready to do. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio and Chris Denari right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
What's up, guys?
Hey, Chris, how are you, brother?
Good. How were Big Ten media days?
Actually, it was a little more tiring, I guess, than I thought, because I struggled to get up this morning. Wow. I was like, holy moly. I didn't realize it, but for me, 2 days, I do a ton of walking because I try to make it, it's a rare opportunity. You've got 14 coaches there. You've got all these players, athletic directors, TV people in one place.
Right.
At accessible at your place. So, right. Man, I do a lot of chasing, a lot of walking, a lot of trying to get numbers, get people. I've got this idea I've been working on. I'll have to tell you about off air, but regarding Sirius XM.
Yeah, so because let's see, Colts camp opened yesterday. College camp's what, next week?
Indiana has media day on Monday, I think, and their practice starts Tuesday. Nebraska, who was there on Tuesday,
yeah,
they were first up to speak, and they were gone. I mean, they didn't spend. Because they spent like no time at all because their practice started that day, I think, or the next day or something.
The next day, yeah, because they start week 0.
Oh, why did they have to get back that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so does Illinois.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, I wonder if it has to do because Nebraska's traveling to Ireland, whereas Illinois is playing a home game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But if your practice starts tomorrow, the next day, it started Wednesday. Why did it matter?
Isn't it? I don't think it's the amount of time. I think it's the number of practices. So Nebraska.
My point being is, why couldn't they stay the day Tuesday? What time did it matter if they left it at 11 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon? They left immediately after.
So they did their media and then they were out of there.
I don't think that they did. I don't think that the players did.
They did.
They did.
They were on Big Ten Network, and they and I saw video from them at.
I'm talking about breakouts. Did they do breakouts though?
Yeah, I saw videos from the breakout sessions, so they did it. But
this segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Thursday, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Schutte along for the ride, and Chris Denari is joining us from the Indiana Pacers. Brought to you by our great friend Cheryl Sizemore, Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Welcome, Chris Denari in. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Getting ready for racing weekend. I've got the 3 races to do on the IMS radio network. I'll be out there tomorrow for qualifying, and then an IndyCar race on Saturday about noon, NASCAR Xfinity later in the afternoon, and then the Cup guys hit the road course on Sunday. So looking forward to it. It's the second year in a row that they've done this, where IndyCar and NASCAR come together and they use the road course. So makes I think it's good because it makes for something different from the month of May.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's, we were talking, Dustin asked me, we were talking earlier. I said, the IMS is just not built for NASCAR because NASCARs they're bigger and heavier, and the tire wear, they've had tire problems because you've got all this speed going, and then you've only got 9 degrees of banking in the turns, and it's just different than an Indy car that can maintain that speed. And the road courses, I think it's just more fun. Plus, you almost had Chase Briscoe win the damn thing last year from right here in Mitchell, which would have been incredible. But yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend because you also have an IndyCar race on Saturday, right?
Yeah, IndyCar, the Gallagher IndyCar race, the road course race, noon or 12:30. And so, I've been doing my prep and just looking at the 25 cars that'll be out there. I'll get a good look at them tomorrow. For the month of May, I'm in turn 4. For this race, I'm out in turn 2, which is near the end. I think it's 10, 11, 12, the turns. I see them as they get into the short chute in turn number 2, then back into the infield, then back out to the front straightaway to make that final lap.
Chris, I watch enough Pacer games and have for the last decade plus to know that I know that you are very diligent about your preparation for every single game. And I'm just curious now, the basketball, it usually, the players don't change that much. The game doesn't change that much, but you're talking about 3 different races, 3 different types of cars, a lot of different drivers. How much prep work goes into this 3-day weekend?
I do a lot. Yeah, I do a lot because one, I don't do many races, right? I do the 500 in May, and then I do these 3 races. Usually those are the only races I do all year. In the past, there have been times where I've gone, to other places with IMS radio. So I probably do a lot more due diligence than maybe the regular guys do, just because they do it week in and week out. This is a good merger of Performance Racing Network and the IMS radio group. We all work together on the 2 NASCAR races. But the key thing is, I don't want to say it's a little bit easier. They're going slower. So that makes it a little bit easier.
Sure.
You can have your eyes on the cars a lot longer than you can for the Indianapolis 500. So it's really critical for all of those cars that the colors of the car. And then the other thing I've said over and over again, this is the true testament that you really have to listen to your colleagues that are in other spots on the course, because you are listening to their call. Because one, you don't want to replicate the words that they use all the time, and you want to try to change things up from your point of view. But you also are trying to keep in your mind who's in front, who's second, who's third, who's maybe coming up on a good run in 5th or 6th. And you sort of have to set your mind as you see those cars come into your view. Is Dustin in the white car and Jim's in the blue car, and now all of a sudden the blue car's past the white car, so Jim has taken the lead. So there's a lot of concentration. These races are a little bit shorter because they're the road course races and they go a little bit quicker. So I would say on Saturday, 2 of those races would equal the Indianapolis 500 as far as time is concerned. And then we'll do the Cup race on Sunday.
Chris says, I guess Kurt Busch wouldn't be. Is he still suffering from concussion-like syndrome symptoms? I know that's what he was out from last week.
Yeah, I mean, Ty Gibbs, who's the points leader in Xfinity, good chance that he could race on Saturday. Also, we're waiting to find out about Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden was involved in that crash in Iowa in the 2nd race on Sunday, and then they had to take him to the hospital. And so we'll just have to wait and see if he's available as well. So, some injury situations are creating opportunities maybe for other people to be in those cars.
And you brought up Ty Gibbs. The irony that he will be replacing Kurt Busch this week, because there is a very, very strong possibility he will be permanently replacing his brother Kyle Busch for his grandfather on that team.
Yeah, I saw the other thing that I saw about, from a Gibbs perspective is M&M's is walking away after this year. They've been the longtime sponsor of that car. You think about that. I think I can think about my kids being much smaller, that, that car has always had that type of sponsor. So yeah, the racing business is so interesting. I mean, just for me, following what's happening now with Alex Palou, right? With Ganassi Racing from an IndyCar perspective. And he thinks that he has an out so he can go to Arrow McLaren. I mean, think about if that happened in other sports. I mean, Alexander Rossi has already signed a contract to drive for a different team next year, yet he is completing the year with Andretti. I mean, that would be like somebody in pro sports. Now, sometimes we hear or feel like a guy's going to play out his contract and go to another team. But it would be like a player in the NFL, Major League Baseball, or the NBA playing game 50 in a Knicks jersey, and he's already signed a contract to play for the Celtics. I mean, that's what you're in racing right now.
Yeah, you have the same thing happening in NASCAR, because it just happened, and I was like, how do you do that? I forget the kid that's in the 8 car, Tyler Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick is now signed. He's now signed to 2311, which is owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. But this is a year away, and I'm like, going, wait a minute, how do you do that? How in the hell? Which when you're in a car, I can stay focused because you have to. Your life's at stake. But I guess if it's a whole year, you can just stay focused. You're like, oh hell, that's next year. I'll think about that next year. But it's just weird. I've never seen. That's never happened that I recall.
Yeah, because
in NASCAR.
It's for 24, right? Not for 23.
Yeah. It's a whole nother season away. And I'm like, that's the oddest thing in the world.
Yeah. And he was the guy that he's going from Petty, correct?
No, Tyler Reddick, isn't that a Richard Childress?
Tyler Reddick is Richard Childress. Yeah, he's Richard Childress Racing. Yeah.
That's the reason I know that's because of the number 8 car. So I always reason I know that.
Yeah. I was going to add an anecdote to that, but I got nothing now because it's not relevant. So
screwed it up.
But yeah, looking forward to it. It's a great opportunity. Doug Rice and his crew, they do a great job with Performance Racing Network. I always laugh. I always laugh because, throughout the summer, I'll be mowing the lawn, listening to Sirius XM and listening to IndyCar and listening to the NASCAR. And then all of a sudden the next week I'm on the air with them. I mean, it's just a little bit bizarre that you're doing just sort of mundane tasks around the house, listening to these guys. And then the next week you're a part of it. It's neat.
I have that same feeling every Thursday, Chris, when you join us.
As I get ready to go out and do my mundane tasks.
No, I'm serious. I'm like
on Facebook or whatever. Yeah.
I'm like, feel like I'm just the same nobody as always. And then the next day I'm talking to Chris, or I'm out at Lucas Oil dealing with all that. And just like, I just always shake my head. It cracks me up. But I gotta ask Chris, because
they allowed me to do some high school broadcasting against better judgment in Northern Indiana. But I got very comfortable doing high school football and high school basketball. But when it became baseball, or when it became track and field or some of that other stuff, I got those butterflies because I'm not quite as familiar with that kind of stuff. Veteran broadcaster, you've been doing this a long time. Do you still get those butterflies from this? Like you said, you don't do a lot of races year in, year out. Do you still get those butterflies, or have you done it long enough where it's pretty normal for you still?
No, they always lie and say yes, but I don't believe them.
No, I there's no question you get butterflies. And I think even through the course of your regular job, there are certain nights that you get butterflies, and most nights, I think, because the thing in our business is when that mic is live, anything can happen.
Yeah.
What you're watching, what you're saying. And so you always have to be, I don't think you can
conscious.
Conscious. You can't be nonchalant, right?
Yeah.
You have to always be aware of what's going on. So no, there are butterflies. And there's no question there's more for this than there would be for what I do on a regular basis. The other piece is, and I've been thinking about this probably for a year, the basket or the view that I have to climb up to, it's not a fun one to climb up to. I mean, it's a little harrowing. So I'm not great with heights, and this is one where you are climbing a ladder straight up.
You have a bucket up there?
A bucket. It's this one in turn 2 is a platform. It's a platform, and it does have a covering. So it's different than what I'm in turn 4 during the month of May.
I mean, if you have to go to the restroom, you have to have a bucket.
Oh, you got to climb down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's worse than the climb up, in my opinion.
I think you're right. I mean, especially when you look down. I'll tell you what. I will send both of you a picture of it, and then you tell me if you would do it.
Let me tell you, I'll have sweaty
there
palms.
are no timeouts. There are no timeouts. Yeah, there are cautions, but unless there is a red flag situation,
oh no, you're up there the whole time.
Yeah, you're stuck. I mean, and that's how long are you there for? 4 hours because of before and after.
I mean, when you're doing the 500, I mean, you're there to get down. On Saturday, I'll have a little bit of a break, I think, between the IndyCar race and the Xfinity race. But I'm just telling you, once I get up there for the day, I don't want to go down because I don't want to have to climb down and climb up. In turn 4, I don't have an issue with that anymore, the basket that I'm in. But in turn 2, it's you look down and it's like you feel like you could just fall out all the way down to the ground. That's what it feels like.
Let me tell you that one of the most terrifying moments in my young career, I talked about doing broadcasting, but I also did camera for a webcasting company. We would broadcast high school football games, and I believe it was Richmond High School. And the ladder to climb up on top of the press box where he ran the camera from was like, there was no side here. Like you're climbing up on top of the press box and it's above the bleachers. And if you fall, I mean, that's the end of you. And it's open. There's no gate. There's no fence. It's just a cement platform basically. And it's
cement pond.
And it's slightly inclined. And then a thunderstorm hit. And so I was curled up in the fetal position, like, just doing my camera because I have that same exact fear, Chris. And to me, it's not so much going up. I can look up and not look down, but when you're climbing down, I'm like, you know what?
I think you're right because when you're climbing up, you just see the top.
Yeah,
you just want to get there. But when you're standing at the top and looking down and figuring how do I get down there, I think you're right. I remember when last year when my feet hit the metal of the bottom, the step, it was like, oh man, I don't have to do this for another year.
Exactly.
But here we are. I'm a day away from it.
Hey, before I forget, since I have you, I wanted to know, Don Fisher was named this year's recipient from the Football Writers Association of America, the Chris Schenkel Award. So very cool for him. You being a fellow PBPer, I knew you would appreciate that. Yeah. But Don is, I think, going into his 50th season. I mean, and it just amazes me, guys like you and Don, that they become, I mean, seriously, the voice. No one can think of IU Sports with anybody besides, and I'll have conversations with him sometimes, and I'm like, I acknowledge that fact, and I'm sure, for Don's not always the most humble, a guy says so, but he always still seems taken aback by this, and I'm like, dude, what you should? How can you be shocked? I'm like, you're the guy. I'm like, who in the hell is going to replace you? That's like being the guy. It will be almost like the guy replacing Bob Knight at Indiana, because you've got generations.
You almost want to be the guy after the guy, right?
You've got to be. You've got to be the guy after the guy, because that guy's not going to succeed, man. It's going to be tough.
Well, I mean, I'm a big Reds fan, and I think Marty Brennaman was there for years and years.
Yes,
and years.
I grew up listening to Marty Brennaman and Joe Nuxall.
And it's different, though. It's different when it happens. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. But Marty didn't do it 50 years, I don't think. I mean, it was probably close. It was probably close, though. I mean, because Al Michaels, when I was a kid, Al Michaels was the voice of the Reds. And then, Marty was probably close to 50.
Wait a minute. Al Michaels was the voice of the Reds?
Yeah. And when they went to the World Series in 1970, he was doing the play-by-play. And then when he left, they hired Marty Brennaman.
I just met, that's my fandom started probably 74-ish when I started listening to radio. I was that young, but yeah. So I just missed it. But I didn't even know that. That blows me. I did not know that.
Yeah, but Don's been so great. I mean, he's been so great to me. I mean, one of the years I was just a year or so removed out of college when he was at the old Wire, he and John Minko, and they would provide coverage of the month of May out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And they hired me to help them. And so I was sort of like the reporter along, pit road. I would go to the hospital or the medical facility if somebody got hurt. And so that's really one of the first times that I met Don. And that was probably 1984, 1985. So, that's about 40 years ago that I had the opportunity to meet and work with Don and consider him a friend. And, he's just been somebody I think we've all aspired to be, because when you become a voice of a team, you have a responsibility beyond the games. It's beyond what happens on the field or on the court. It's being at the gas station. It's being at the drugstore. It's being at a restaurant. People want to come up and talk to you about your team. And so, Don has been so great as a representative of Indiana University, and that just carries over to people like me. What Mark Boyle has done for 30 plus years. Now Matt Taylor with the Colts, Rob Blackman with Purdue. We all enjoy having that opportunity to be affiliated with a team. And, for me, it really started with, looking at somebody like Don.
And I think, go ahead. I was going to say, I think, Chris, one of the things I've always said this, I think Indiana, and this includes you as well. I think Indiana is a state that has the best play-by-play, the best color commentary, whether it's television, radio. And I think one of the things I didn't understand when I first kind of got into sports journalism, sports media, that kind of thing, is a lot of people told me you have to like writing more than you like sports. You have to like broadcasting more than you like sports. And I think that, I've seen you, Chris, call Big Ten football games on Big Ten Network. You're doing the races. You cover the Pacers. You covered Butler. So many guys in the business in Indiana have reached out and done other things. And I think that that's what makes the Indiana broadcasting team just so special, is the fact that you guys love, not only do you love sports, but you love broadcasting. You love talking to people and being part of that story. And I think that's what separates Indiana play-by-play and broadcasting from the other states I've lived in or listened to.
Well, the pros. I appreciate that, Dustin. I think that one of the things we enjoy, whether it's radio or television, it's being that link to the fan.
Yeah.
It's being the link between the team that you cover or the games that you cover. Like you said, for me to have an opportunity through the years to do so many games on Big Ten Network, whether they were basketball or football games, one, I've always said you really need to step out of your box, right? You got to step out of your comfort zone. It makes you better as a person, and I think as a broadcaster, it makes you better. I mean, there was a racing series a number of years ago sponsored by Red Bull. It was called GRC, and all the broadcasters were busy one weekend, and the guy that was supposed to do it, his mother was ill. I got a call from NBC on a Wednesday and did it on a Saturday and a Sunday on NBC and NBC Sports. Well, you talk about nerves. I mean, when you step out of your comfort zone, but I'm a big believer in that because I think it helps you not just as a broadcaster, but as a person from a confidence standpoint and those types of things. So I appreciate that. And, you know, I just love being the link between whatever I'm doing and the people that are listening and watching.
Well, you guys both said you don't want to be the guy to follow Don Fisher. You want to be the guy after the guy. If you guys need a year, just call Scott Dolson, tell him I'll do it for a year, and I'll set the bar real low. I'll set it really low so the next guy can thrive.
Matt, I promise you, Matt Taylor wouldn't. He'd say, "I'll take a shot at it," because he can imitate Don. He does.
Oh, that's true.
He could do it as you think
Fisher.
that Don is continuing to do it. You're right.
Yes, I wish we would have had enough time. I could have had John pull that up. I'm sure we have that somewhere, but he did. We've got a clip of him doing it. He's PJ drives around the side. I can't.
He is so good.
It's so
Matt
hard.
Taylor?
Yeah.
Give
It's
me
hard.
a couple seconds and I'll get it for you.
It's so hard because Don and all great guys do. You just have this distinct voice. You know, bam, they come on and I can hear somebody in like 2-3 words. I know. I'm like, I know who that is. I just know. And it's different. Yours is a very smooth, controlled, and just a great smooth delivery. And then you've got Don, who's got a cadence that it's a different cadence. And I'm like, I can't do it. I cannot mimic it. I'm like, man, I've tried, but John, if you have that, let me know. But yeah, it's just he's originally from Ohio, and but it's just certain way how you say words, man. I cannot do a Don Fisher.
Well, I mean, I think that the great thing is we've all tried to establish our own, you know, our own way you do it. I think though, when you're growing up, you start trying to mimic people because that's who you listen to. And then I realized I just have to be me. I've just got to create my own.
And I think Don is like, when I listen to Don Fisher, you listen to some of those really old school guys from like the 20s, 30s, and 40s and how they had a specific cadence. I feel like Don has a modern twist on the old school. Like that's the best way I can describe his sort of play-by-play.
Yeah, I think that's a good description.
John, if you don't have it, don't worry about it.
I must have misplaced it. I can't find it. That's my fault.
We'll do it another time. But Chris, man, I cannot wait. Where can people listen? We got listeners all over the country, not just
I mean, let's see, anywhere on how you listen to NASCAR on Sirius XM, but also in the Indianapolis market, it'll be on 107.5 and 93.5 The Fan. I think it'll also be on WIBC 93.1. But clearly, all throughout the country, listen to your favorite Sirius XM channel for IndyCar and NASCAR.
Absolutely. Cannot wait, man. I'm looking forward to it. Chris Denari, cannot wait, brother. Have a great weekend and a great races.
All right. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, guys.
Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio after this, brought to you by our good friends from Barber Pop Realty Services down in Southern Indiana. If you're in the Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison County areas, you need the services of Barber Pop Realty Service, who's been there for 3 decades. Reach out to Matt Lincoln. Matt at barbarapop.com. He'll get you in the home you want. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
Man, I have no idea where I put that clip.
You're fired.
I know. I'll fire myself.
I can't believe that.
Find it now that I'm not on the
that effing roadcaster. That just made me so mad. That should just be plug and effing play, man.
Yeah. All right. What would this have been called?
Don Fisher by Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor does Don Fisher.
Don Fisher impression. I found it. Jesus. Why couldn't I have found that 30 seconds ago?
Well, we can air it now.
No,
but wasn't the point for Chris to hear it?
Yeah, well, let's save it for Chris because we need to talk some basketball real quick.
Jeez, gosh, that pisses me off. I knew I'd find it the moment we went to break. I knew I'd find it.
I knew it. I knew it.
I thought I had it under Matt Taylor something, but it was under Don Fisher impression.
Oh. What do you want? Come up.
We've played it for Don Fisher before. He thought it was hilarious.
Both Thuggins. Oh, did he really? He enjoyed it?
Yeah.
That's good.
When do we get him back? That's not far off.
Nope. I actually talked to him day before yesterday.
Yeah. And Charlie's still keeping me in the loop. He's trying to finish up his camp stuff. I've checked in with him just about every weekend, and he's still busy, but he's rounding the curve. He's about done.
We're fine.
Oh, I know we're fine. He wanted me to keep you in the loop too. Let him know what's going on.
I appreciate that. I was thinking this last night. I didn't do a good job this summer of getting bigger name guests.
Honestly, the summer went so fast. I didn't even realize we. It's because we stayed so effing freaking busy this summer. I've never had a summer like this. Summers have always been scary. Because they're slow, and I'm like, damn. This summer, I'm like, damn it. It just didn't really slow down, and now it's back to warp speed again here. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go.
Come and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Thursday. Dustin Schutte with me. It's Jim Coyle here, as always, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're wrapping up another fun day. Indiana basketball is right now in the midst of a torrent, just a hurricane of visits. Jamie Kaiser just wrapped his visit up yesterday. One of the quotes that he told the Hoosier.com in regards to walking into Assembly Hall, it was surreal. I mean, when you have recruits saying things like surreal, you can tell. He canceled his UCLA visit.
That's big.
Not expected to visit Maryland again, who was thought to be the favorite. Several comments were at the Hoosier.com where Alec talked to him immediately afterwards. You can go to the Hoosier.com for that information if you are a VIP member. Other things there, though. Cliff Marshall making an immediate impact for the Indiana freshman. Now you've got Arrington Page in on a visit today. Was in yesterday, I think. Leaves tomorrow or today. And then, daggone it. Smith, I can't think of his Harris Smith is in. It's just boom, boom, boom. This is a big time three-headed monster of recruiting. And Indiana is in good shape with all three of them. I'm not saying they were going to land all three, but they could. It would not be shocking. I think I would be shocked if they don't land two out of the three. I would be shocked. And now after what I'm reading at the Hoosier.com, I'm going to be shocked if Jamie Kaiser is not coming to Indiana, and he wants to make a decision before his senior year. So there's that.
It all sounds pretty promising. So that's if you're canceling your UCLA visit, if you're not planning on attending Maryland or visiting Maryland, I should say, that's all positive signs. And we, we talked about Mike Woodson and this staff has formed great relationships with the kids they're recruiting. And, like you said, you're not going to probably land all of them, but if you can land 2 out of the 3, that's a big splash considering what you've been able to do through the transfer portal, what you've been able to do with the last recruiting class. So I just think good signs for Indiana basketball, not just heading into this year, but obviously preparing for the future too. It's really good, positive momentum for this program. And I think getting to the NCAA tournament, winning a game, getting that kind of exposure, I think that really helped as well.
Leslie, I think that thoughts of a new arena for Indiana are now gone. That ship sailed, I think, when they did the renovations. And it's not to say that it could never happen, because the money that they'll be making, and IU basketball is a money maker, but man, if success comes and people are just filling it up, probably not going to change. We'll see. That's down the road. But Flory Badunga, the Kokomo kid, I mentioned earlier, via the Democratic Republic of the Congo, receives an IU offer from the Hoosiers, of course, and that usually doesn't happen without visits. But they haven't had him on a visit, obviously. But this is a kid that has gone from unranked, like I said, he's number 6 on the Rivals board right now. He is an elite talent that is going to be a big time talent. I think he is the most talented kid that Indiana has offered to date. Wow. And that is saying a lot, because they have a lot of guys that have offers that are good. But this Indiana is doing what I talked about this yesterday. They're starting to stack talent on top of talent. Yeah. Haven't had that. And I'm not talking about one guy. I'm talking about the classes are just solid class. When you start bringing in top 10 classes year after year, bam, that's what the elite programs do. Right. When was the last time Indiana had a top 10 class? Come on. And how many have they had in the last 10 years? You've got to do this almost every damn year, unless it's just a low number class. But go to thehoosier.com. There's tons of stuff. Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate you. Tons of stuff on the recruiting that's going on, because it's a whirlwind. Wyatt says Flory Badunga expected 5-star. He'd expect for Woodson to go all in on this kid. Just offer him. Yeah, but are they too late? Never too late. Nah, never too late. And he is a local kid. He plays for Indiana Elite. We'll see, man. He is going to be the hottest recruit around. He was going to be one of the top recruits in the United States. So you've got that going for you, which is nice. A new George Taliaferro Award, which is very cool. They select a player that they think represents the values that George Taliaferro did, and you get to wear his number 44. And so that was announced yesterday. There's a picture. I was very fortunate to get a picture with Renee Taliaferro, one of 4 daughters, and all 4 were there, by the way, which was cool. There's Renee, and that's Mark Deal on the right from IU football. But so fortunate. She was so nice, so super, super nice. But what a great award that is. Tom Allen announced that yesterday. It's a new tradition. And it is a great thing to do. Aaron Casey, Ace, is known by his teammates. First guy, he's going to get it for the next 4 years. So that's pretty cool. Man, Dustin, I wish you were here every day. We've had you for 3 straight days. Hopefully we'll see how long we can go. We'll just keep running it out.
Keep the streak live. It's like Cal Ripken, baby.
Until you leave, until you walk away, you're just going to be here.
Hey, I got
leave you here.
What's tomorrow? Friday? I got nothing going on Friday morning. So if you need a guest, I'll hop on.
Dude, you're not a guest, you're family.
Co-host.
You're family, man. You're family. But we appreciate everybody. Thanks so much to Matt Taylor. Thanks big time to Chris Denari as well. Did I leave anything out today that I was supposed to play? Man, I hope not. It's been such a crazy, great week, but we'll get it in tomorrow if not. Thanks to John, the producer. Big thanks to Dustin Schutte, of course. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. I would appreciate if you do a favor, hit the subscribe and like button if you're watching on YouTube. It's very easy. Subscribe, like. Give Dustin Schutte a follow at Schutte Sports and myself, please, on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. It is greatly appreciated. I promise you, we appreciate you wholeheartedly. We're back tomorrow to do this again. Alec Lasley will be along. I think Zach Osterman will be back as we're about to head in. Monday is, I think, IU Football Media Day again. So I'll be out there for that. Tuesday starts practice. There's so much going on. It's crazy. Hope you guys down in Evansville are having a great time on the river this weekend, listening to the ref, listen to the Cards. How are the Cards doing, by the way? I'm out of time, but where are they? I don't have time to check the standings. I meant to do that, but I've been trying to follow along because I know they've been in a battle with Milwaukee. But you can listen to the Cardinals right there, right here on the ref.
Cardinals are 3 back.
3 back. Well, 97.7 the ref, always the right call. So there you go. Listen to the Cardinals as well as Indiana Sports Beat. We're back tomorrow to do it all again. Thanks a lot. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.